Following a viral outbreak, buses are used to evacuate people from cities to a quarantine zone called Harmony. The convoy halts just before reaching the gate, prompting a soldier to step out and investigate. After some time, an officer inside the bus tries contacting him but gets no response. Concerned, the officer goes out to look for the soldier but is attacked and bitten on the neck. The now infected soldier charges onto the bus, but Jack and Patrick manage to push him out. When the infected soldier vanishes, Jack decides to retrieve a weapon from the fallen officer. While grabbing the gun, the officer reanimates and attacks him. Jack shoots the zombie, but notices more infected soldiers approaching. He hides under the bus while Patrick tries to secure the door. Panic spreads among the passengers, and some try escaping through the back of the bus. Zombies break through the doors and windows, attacking anyone in reach. Patrick fights to reach his wife, Emma, but is thrown off the bus as a zombie lunges at him. He kills the zombie by smashing its head against the bus. Nearby, Emma hides with her baby, but is discovered by a zombie. She gets into a jeep, thinking it's safe, only to face another attack. Before the infected can overwhelm her, Jack arrives and eliminates them. Although Emma finds blood on her baby, Jack and Patrick confirm there are no injuries. They soon realize the blood came from a bite on Emma's arm. 9 years later, Patrick roams a frozen abandoned city, scavenging for food. After killing a horse, he takes its carcass back to Harmony on his snowmobile. Lou, watching from a neighboring house, informs Jack about Patrick's latest hunt. While Patrick prepares the meat, Jack finds a spoiled can of beans, but luckily discovers another that's still edible. That night, Patrick uses a radio to seek other survivors but hears nothing. Instead, he pretends to converse with an imaginary guest. Later, he spies on Jack and Lou through binoculars, wishing he could talk to them. The next morning, Jack discovers Lou missing from her bed. He finds her in the kitchen and scolds her for not informing him before leaving her room. Lou explains she didn't want to disturb him and starts preparing breakfast. Jack reminds her about the rules and gives her a cookie, which she hides before asking for another. Patrick, awakened by his barking dog, lets it outside. Lou approaches the dog at the fence and feeds it her cookie. She notices the dog has dug a hole under the fence, creating a gap. Later, Jack teaches Lou math without relying on her fingers, then practices shooting outside while Lou plays with her dolls. She asks if she can shoot, but Jack refuses. Frustrated, Lou insists she's too old for dolls and asks him to play with her instead. While they're outside, Jack notices Patrick returning with supplies but doesn't acknowledge him. That evening, Jack gives Lou a box containing her mother's belongings. Before explaining why, Lou hears Patrick's PA system playing the birthday song and realizes it's her birthday. Patrick has baked her a cake, but due to his feud with Jack, allows his dog to eat it instead. Lou asks Jack about birthday parties before the outbreak. Jack describes them as gatherings with other kids, but Lou doubts him since she's never met another child. She mentions she doesn't remember her mother, and Jack explains it's because she was too young. Lou then asks if zombies are real, and Jack tells her they existed but were wiped out by the cold. That night, Lou has a nightmare. Waking to the sound of barking, she peers out the window and spots a pale zombie beyond the fence. In the morning, Jack finds Lou hiding under the bed. She tells him about the monster she saw. Although Jack thinks it was just a bad dream, Lou insists the zombie was real. Jack still doesn't trust Lou's claims and insists that all the zombies died because of the cold weather. Later that day, Lou places a stuffed toy near the gap in the fence, hoping it might keep monsters from sneaking in. When Patrick notices Lou by the fence, he realizes she must be the one feeding cookies to his dog. Concerned, he warns her that his dog could get sick from eating them. Suddenly, Jack storms out of the house, demanding Patrick stay away from Lou and stop talking to her. He even threatens to shoot Patrick's dog if it keeps barking, prompting Patrick to quiet the animal. While scavenging for supplies in an abandoned warehouse, Patrick remembers being there with Emma. He recalls making too much noise, which made Emma anxious. She had told him to stay quiet to avoid attracting zombies. Sarcastically, Patrick had asked if she told Jack the same thing when she betrayed him. Patrick spots a doll that Lou might like and grabs it from the shelf. As he continues searching, he stumbles upon an animal's bloody remains. Moments later, a zombie appears and charges at him. Patrick and his dog escape, slamming the warehouse door shut behind them and locking the zombie inside. As Patrick starts his snowmobile, The zombie violently throws itself against the door, trying to escape. On the way home, Patrick constantly checks over his shoulder, fearing the zombie might be following him. Distracted, he fails to see a fallen tree in his path and crashes into it at full speed. Meanwhile, Jack takes it upon himself to teach Lou how to shoot a gun. When she fires, the recoil knocks her over, but she laughs and says she enjoyed it. The zombie eventually catches up to Patrick, who is still lying on the ground. However, the zombie doesn't attack him. It appears to be blind. It runs off after hearing a gunshot in the distance, allowing Patrick to hop back on the snowmobile and chase after it. Back at the house, Jack spots a hare outside the fence and prepares to shoot it. Before he can, he hears a gunshot and sees Patrick approaching. Patrick warns Jack to get back inside before running over the zombie with his snowmobile. Unfortunately, he falls off in the process. Struggling to retrieve his weapon, Patrick is attacked by the zombie. Lou shouts at Jack to shoot, but Jack tells her to lock herself inside. As Patrick fights off the zombie, Jack hesitates to pull the trigger. The zombie bites Patrick's neck and kills his dog, despite its attempts to protect Patrick. Injured but determined, Patrick shoots the zombie, driving it away. Jack returns to the house, only to find Lou furious at him for not acting sooner. Outside, Patrick mourns his dog, blaming it for trying to be a hero. Later at home, Patrick pours alcohol on his wound and contemplates ending his life. As he struggles with the decision, memories of Emma urging him to amputate her bitten hand while Jack restrained her flood his mind. When Patrick regains consciousness, he hears someone over the radio. Patrick warns them that the zombies have returned and admits to being bitten. However, the stranger suggests he might not turn, as too much time has passed. Another voice interrupts, claiming the real blame lies with his neighbor, Jack, who should have helped him. The next day, Jack boards up the house, anticipating Patrick's transformation. Lou, however, points out that Patrick hasn't turned and scolds Jack for not believing her about the monster she saw earlier. Jack tries to appease her by offering 2 cookies, but Lou reveals the second one was meant for the dog. She then tells Jack she wants to pick flowers for her mom without needing permission, but Jack insists it's too dangerous. While gathering flowers outside, Jack finds the doll Patrick picked up for Lou. That evening, a voice on the radio pressures Patrick to kill Jack. When Patrick refuses, the voice mocks him for sympathizing with Jack while letting Emma die. That night, Jack returns with artificial flowers, giving half to Lou, who places them in front of her mother's photo. She then sneaks outside with a revolver to lay the other half on the dog's grave. Crawling through the fence hole, Lou places the flowers at the grave when a zombie approaches her. She tries to shoot, but the zombie knocks the gun away. Jack rushes to her aid, tackling the zombie and pummeling it with his fists. When he pauses, the creature claws at his chest, forcing Jack to continue his brutal assault until it stops moving. As Jack tends to Lou, Patrick emerges with a gun aimed at him. However, instead of firing at Jack, Patrick shoots a zombie sneaking up behind him. That evening, Jack notices Lou isn't in bed, so he steps outside to search for her. Suddenly, a zombie lunges at him, but it's chained to the ground, and its arms have been severed. Patrick appears and explains that the zombies seem to be evolving. They can now seal their wounds and have hardened skin to withstand the cold. Despite this, Patrick mentions a silver lining. The zombies are no longer infectious and have become blind. When Lou steps out of Patrick's house, Jack quickly takes her back home. Later, Lou contacts Patrick via walkie-talkie, inviting him to dinner the following night. Patrick happily agrees and prepares by shaving his beard and cutting his hair. The next evening, Patrick arrives with meat for the meal. Jack hands him a doll, suggesting he give it to Lou himself. When Lou sees Patrick, she's surprised by his clean-shaven appearance and shorter hair. During dinner, Lou plays with the laughing doll and asks Patrick how he knew she wanted one. Patrick explains that he thought she might like it because he enjoyed similar toys as a child. When he shares stories from his childhood, Lou laments that she only has dolls to play with, unlike him. After Lou falls asleep, Patrick reveals his plan to fix the truck so they can leave. Jack, however, insists on staying, despite Patrick's warnings of more zombies. Patrick accuses Jack of focusing so much on surviving that he's forgotten how to live. When Jack asks why Patrick hasn't left yet, Patrick glances at Lou, implying he stays for her. Once Patrick leaves, Jack sits beside Lou, reflecting on Emma's death. He recalls finding Patrick drunk on the floor while baby Lou cried in her crib. Enraged, Jack struck Patrick and accused him of killing Emma. He then took Lou, declaring Patrick unfit to be her father. That night, Lou wakes from a nightmare and tells Jack she dreamt he died, leaving her alone. The following morning, Jack decides they will leave with Patrick. The trio sets off, stopping at a warehouse to gather supplies. While outside the truck, Patrick remembers leaving Emma alone near the warehouse out of jealousy toward Jack. As Emma cried inside the truck, zombies attacked, leading to her death. After collecting supplies, they spot a woman in the distance. When Patrick approaches, she panics. He restrains her until she calms down, and they decide to take her back home. Later that evening, the woman shares her story. She explains that during the outbreak, she and her family isolated themselves in their home. After a year, they ventured north and joined other survivors. She met a man and became pregnant, but he died before learning about the child. The woman recounts how a zombie attack wiped out her convoy, leaving her the sole survivor. Suddenly, the woman hears the chained zombie howling. She grabs a revolver, rushes outside, and shoots it. She warns Patrick that these sounds are how the zombies communicate and attract others. Shortly after, they hear distant howls from other zombies, prompting them to fortify the house and ready their weapons. When the zombies arrive, Jack hides Lou in the basement, instructing her to stay silent. As Lou moves through the basement, she encounters a zombie, but avoids detection by remaining still. Meanwhile, upstairs, more zombies breach the house. One attacks Jack, forcing him into a room where he drops his gun during the struggle. In the basement, Lou places her doll in a trunk and drops a lantern onto it to create noise. When the zombie leaps into the trunk, she quickly shuts and locks it. Upstairs, Jack notices another zombie entering through the window. He retrieves his gun and shoots the one by the door, but runs out of bullets before he can stop the second. Staying quiet, he avoids drawing its attention. While Patrick battles a zombie downstairs, the woman blasts loud music to disorient the creatures with their sensitive hearing. Lou escapes the basement to warn Patrick about the monster she trapped, and he directs her to stay in the room with his radio. As the others fight, Lou hears a voice on the radio attempting to communicate. When the generator dies and the music stops, they realize their ammo is nearly depleted. Lou recalls the radio message urging them to head to Spring Falls. With the creatures closing in, Patrick decides to distract the zombies, allowing the others to escape. After saying goodbye to Lou, he grabs Jack's shotgun and a flare. Outside, Patrick fires at the approaching zombies, drawing their attention. As Jack and the others reach the truck, Patrick sprints toward barrels of gasoline. Lighting a flare, he ignites the fuel, sacrificing himself and obliterating the zombies in the explosion. Once free from Harmony, Jack, Lou, and the woman pause on the roadside, watching the sunrise.